One day, a philosopher was wandering through the city square when a young man, filled with anxiety and confusion, approached him and asked, "Sir, how can I make people listen to me? How can I ensure that my words leave an impact on their minds?" The philosopher smiled calmly, looked at him, and said, "Have you ever seen fire? How do people gather around it?" The young man eagerly replied, "Of course, because it burns, it's warm, and no one can ignore it." The philosopher lifted his head and said, "That is exactly how your words should be, burning with honesty, warm with strength, and impossible to ignore." In this episode, we will talk about the kind of words that can transform the way you communicate and attract anyone to you effortlessly. These are not just passing phrases, but keys that unlock hearts, earn the respect of others, and make them listen to you attentively without needing to raise your voice or insist on persuasion. We will dive into the secrets of Stoic philosophy and how great philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus used it to leave an everlasting impact on people's minds. Even more exciting, we will see how modern psychology supports these concepts, making them even more effective in our daily lives. But before we begin, let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt like your words fade away without anyone paying attention? Have you found yourself speaking, but no one truly listens to you? If your answer is yes, then this video is for you. And don't forget to support us by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel if you're interested in content that makes you wiser and more influential. Now, let's begin. Words that turn conflicts into opportunities. Have you ever thought about how a single word can change the course of a heated argument? How a simple sentence can diffuse tension and turn it into a moment of understanding and connection instead of an endless battle? The problem is that, in most conflicts, we don't try to understand what's really happening. Instead, we focus on proving that we're right. We rush to defend ourselves, interrupt the other person before they finish speaking, as if the goal of the conversation is to win rather than to understand. But what if I told you that you could calm even the angriest person and make them feel heard, without raising your voice or engaging in confrontation? Stoic philosophy teaches us that true strength doesn't come from shouting or forcing opinions, but from self-control when everyone else is swept away by emotions. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you see someone making a mistake, correct them gently, not aggressively, because people naturally resist attacks, but they are drawn to those who give them space to understand." Imagine you're in an argument with someone who's angry. If you tell them outright, "You don't understand anything," you're only pushing them to defend themselves blindly. But if you say, "I see your point, but have you considered looking at it from this angle?" you're not attacking them, you're inviting them to think with you. The difference between these two approaches is the difference between a productive discussion and a pointless argument. The truth is, most conflicts don't arise because of the disagreement itself, but because of how we discuss that disagreement. One person expresses their opinion aggressively, the other responds even more harshly, and the situation escalates like a rolling fireball no one knows how to stop. But what if you were the one to break this cycle? What if you were the one who refused to be provoked? A true Stoic understands that real control isn't about forcing others to change. It's about mastering oneself first, choosing words wisely, knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Once you master this, you'll realize that many conflicts that seemed impossible to resolve didn't need a victory at all, just a moment of awareness. A moment when you understand that the person in front of you doesn't want to hear the truth as a final verdict. They want to feel like they arrived at it themselves. And that, my friend, is the art that allows the strongest minds to lead without ever imposing themselves. I understand you. Sometimes that's all a person needs. No philosophy, no attempts to give advice, correct thoughts, or guide the way. Just the feeling that someone truly hears them, absorbs their words, and understands what they're going through without rushing to offer solutions or instructions. Because the truth, my friend, is that most people aren't really looking for solutions. They're searching for something far simpler yet profoundly deep, the reassurance that they are not alone in their battles. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt invisible? Like you were screaming in the middle of a crowd, yet no one turned to look? Not because they couldn't hear you, but because they didn't care about what was behind your words? That's what it feels like to talk to someone who doesn't truly listen, who's just waiting for their turn to speak. But then there's a rare kind of person, someone who looks at you directly, stays silent when you speak, doesn't interrupt, and doesn't try to fill the silence with unnecessary words. These are the people we never forget, because they make us feel something we've long been missing, that we are understood, seen, and not just background noise in a crowded world. And here lies the secret. It's not in the words, but in the silence. In that moment when you stop thinking about what you're going to say next, and instead you simply exist in the present. You just listen. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Listen more, speak less." Because when you speak, you're only repeating what you already know. But when you listen, you might learn something new. And when you truly listen to someone and say, "I understand you," and actually mean it, you're not just giving them a sense of security, you're also giving yourself the chance to understand yourself better. Because in a way, we are all searching for pieces of ourselves in the eyes of others. So the next time someone speaks to you, don't search for the perfect response. Don't try to sound smart or wise, just listen. Let your silence be deeper than any words. Let your gaze carry the message that words often fail to express. I'm here, and I understand you. How do you say thank you in a way that's unforgettable? Have you ever thought about the power of the word thank you? It's a phrase we say dozens of times a day, yet it can be the difference between a shallow interaction and a meaningful connection, between someone who passes through your life unnoticed and someone whose presence stays with you forever. The problem is that many people say it without awareness, as a mere reflex. Someone does you a favor, you say thank you. Someone hands you something, you say thank you. But it remains just a light word, like a leaf floating on water without ever sinking to the depths. The secret isn't in the word itself, but in how you say it. There is a vast difference between saying it as a social habit and making the person in front of you feel that you truly recognize what they've done and appreciate it on a deeper level. Marcus Aurelius believed that gratitude wasn't just a virtue, but a way of understanding life itself. To him, gratitude wasn't merely a reaction to good things happening. It was a state of mind, a constant perspective on everything, on life itself. When you say thank you in a way that's unforgettable, you're not just expressing gratitude, you're giving the other person a sense of value. You're making them feel that what they did mattered, that their effort didn't go unnoticed. Imagine you did someone a favor and they responded with a casual, "Thanks." You'd smile and move on. But what if they paused for a moment, looked at you directly, and said it with a different tone, one filled with deep sincerity, a tone that made you feel they truly recognized what you did for them? At that moment, an invisible message reaches you. I don't just see you as someone who did me a favor. I appreciate your presence. And that's the secret. People don't remember words as much as they remember how those words made them feel. When you give thank you the weight it truly deserves, you give the other person the rare feeling of being significant, of having made a difference in your life. And that feeling, my friend, is rare in a world that takes so much for granted. A Stoic doesn't express gratitude just because they were taught to be polite. They do it because they understand that gratitude is power. Acknowledging the kindness of others is part of being a person who is in control, aware, and fully present in life. Think about it. Being grateful means you are aware, present, and truly seeing things instead of letting them pass by unnoticed. And this isn't just philosophy, it's a way of life. When you master the art of genuine gratitude, you don't just attract people, you start seeing the world itself differently. If you've made it this far in the video, you're definitely not just a passive listener. You're someone who cares about understanding things deeply. Someone who doesn't just let words pass by without reflection. So if you're still with me, I want you to do something simple. Write "words are power" in the comments. Not just to let me know you watched the video, but to see how many people truly understand the importance of what we talked about today. And trust me, reading your comments gives me even more motivation to keep going. And don't forget, if you found these ideas valuable, hit the like button and share this video with someone who would benefit from it. Because true knowledge isn't complete until we share it with those who deserve it. The art of irresistible compliments. Have you ever met someone who said a simple, passing comment that completely changed your day? Maybe it was just a quick compliment, yet it stuck with you, leaving a deep impression inside. Why does this happen? Why do some words pass by unnoticed, while others stay with us, reshaping how we feel about ourselves and even how we see the world? The secret isn't in the words themselves, it's in the intention behind them. Anyone can say, "You look great today," but you instantly feel whether it's an empty compliment or if it comes from someone who truly noticed something about you and genuinely wanted to share it. When words come from a sincere place, they carry weight. They transform from mere sounds into feelings, into a deep sense of appreciation and recognition. And this is where the difference lies between genuine compliments and forced flattery. Fake compliments are like cheap paint. They may look nice on the surface, but they fade quickly. A real compliment, though, is like carving into stone. It stays, impossible to erase. A true Stoic doesn't hand out words of admiration to everyone without meaning, but when they see something worth praising, they express it without hesitation. Not because they expect anything in return, but because they understand that speaking the beautiful truth is a form of power. To see the good in others, to acknowledge it without expecting anything back. That is offering them something rare in this world, a moment of genuine appreciation. Now think about it. When was the last time someone said something that made you feel important? When was the last time you heard a sentence that made you stop for a moment and rethink yourself? And here's the paradox. We live in a world filled with words, yet it lacks true connection. That's why, when you tell someone something genuinely beautiful, something they feel on a deeper level, you're doing more than just throwing out a passing remark. You're leaving an impact. You're creating a moment, one they might never forget. And that is the essence of true power. Not in being the loudest, not in forcing your presence, but in making others feel theirs. Please, more than just a request. Have you ever thought about the power of a simple word like please? It seems like just another polite phrase, something we say without much thought. But in reality, it carries a meaning far deeper than just making a request sound nicer. It's not just a way to get people to do what you ask. It's a reflection of how you think, how you see yourself and others, and how you perceive human relationships. Most people believe that power means getting what you want without asking, or commanding others in a way that forces them to obey instantly. But the truth is entirely different. Real power isn't about control. It's about making people want to help you, not because they were forced to, but because they felt like it mattered. Making someone feel like they are part of something rather than just a tool to complete your tasks. That is the fundamental difference between those who impose their will through force and those who hold real influence. When you say please with sincerity, you're acknowledging that the person in front of you has free will, a choice, and an independent existence, and that you respect that choice. This is rare in a world where so many try to dominate or manipulate others in one way or another. But a true Stoic doesn't seek control. They don't try to force people to act against their will. Instead, they live by a simple principle. Take nothing without recognizing its value. Never take anything for granted. Even the smallest gestures, someone holding a door open for you, offering a small favor, or simply listening when you need to talk, deserve appreciation. Marcus Aurelius strongly believed that acting with dignity and respect isn't a weakness, but the highest form of strength, because the person who doesn't need to assert dominance is the one who truly knows their worth. When you ask for something politely, you don't weaken your position, you strengthen it. You show confidence, the kind that doesn't need raised voices or commands to be effective. You simply make a request and allow the other person the freedom to choose. Now think about this. When was the last time someone asked you for something so politely that you genuinely wanted to help them? And when was the last time someone demanded something from you in a way that made you feel the exact opposite? The difference isn't in the request itself, it's in the feeling it creates in the other person. One word can open doors for you or close them forever. And the way you say please isn't just a reflection of your manners, it's a reflection of your awareness, your understanding of human connections, and your realization that everything in life is an exchange, not an imposition. The power behind the question, how can I help you? Has anyone ever asked you, how can I help you? And for a moment, you felt like a weight had been lifted off your shoulders? It's just a simple question, yet it carries an undeniable power. Because in that moment, you don't just feel not alone, you feel seen. You feel that someone cares, that someone recognizes your struggle and acknowledges, even silently, that you are worthy of support. But this question isn't just a polite phrase tossed around in daily conversations. It's not just a social courtesy that people say without meaning it. It's a powerful tool, but only if it's asked with genuine intent. People can sense sincerity. They immediately recognize the difference between someone who asks out of real concern and someone who says it out of obligation, with no real intention of helping. And when this question is asked with honesty, it changes everything. A true Stoic doesn't ask this question just to seem kind. They don't ask to look good or to gain approval. They ask because they understand that life is about exchange, about action, not just words. It's about seeing others instead of living under the illusion that you're the only one facing challenges. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee." This isn't just philosophy, it's a fundamental truth. Helping others isn't just about being noble, it's about recognizing that the world is interconnected. True strength doesn't come from proving you don't need anyone. It comes from knowing when to stand alone and when to stand with others. And here's something important. When you ask this question, don't assume you already know what the other person needs. We often try to help in ways we think are best. But real help isn't about what we want to give. It's about what the other person actually needs. Sometimes, someone having a bad day doesn't need advice. They don't need solutions. They just need to hear, "I'm here." Now ask yourself, when was the last time someone genuinely asked you this question? And when was the last time you needed to hear it, but no one said it? True power isn't about standing alone. It's about recognizing when others need you and when you need them. It's about understanding that life isn't a solo battle, and sometimes a simple question like, "How can I help you?" can be more powerful than 1,000 words of advice. I'm sorry, the hardest 2 words. There's something strange about the phrase, "I'm sorry." It's supposed to be simple, yet why does it feel so heavy for some people? And why, when spoken sincerely, can it change everything? The secret is that a real apology isn't just words, it's an admission that you're human, that you made a mistake, that you are not above being wrong. And that takes strength, not weakness, as some might think. Why do people fear apologizing? Because they confuse an apology with defeat, as if admitting a mistake means losing their dignity. But a confident person, someone who truly understands themselves, knows that apologizing doesn't make them weak. Instead, it proves their strength. A true Stoic understands that an apology is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of maturity. To say "I'm sorry" means you are strong enough to face yourself before facing others. Marcus Aurelius believed in this deeply, once saying, "If you make a mistake, don't be afraid to correct it. That is the path to wisdom." The goal isn't to be perfect, because that's impossible. The real question is, how do you handle your mistakes? Do you acknowledge them with awareness? Do you have the courage to admit them without being forced? Or do you avoid them, covering them up with empty pride? When does an apology actually mean something? Because let's be honest, not every apology is worth accepting. Sometimes, people apologize just to end an argument, to escape a situation, or simply to ease their own guilt, with no real intention of changing. But a genuine apology isn't just words, it's a commitment to not repeating the mistake, a commitment to understanding its impact on others, a commitment to apologizing not just to silence someone's anger, but because you truly want to make things right. So next time you apologize, ask yourself, am I truly sorry? Or am I just saying it to move on? Because people don't just remember the words, they always remember how you made them feel. You matter more than you think. Have you ever thought about how many times you needed to hear these words? How many days have you walked through life feeling invisible, as if your presence or absence makes no real difference? The truth is, we live in a world full of noise, but lacking in the words that remind people of their true worth. Everyone is busy, everyone is chasing something. But amidst all of this, one simple thing can change a person's entire life. The feeling that they are seen, that they are not just another number, that their existence matters. You matter is more than just a phrase. It is recognition and acknowledgement that your presence has meaning, that your thoughts deserve to be heard, that what you do has value. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What we do now echoes in eternity." And he was right, because every action, no matter how small, leaves a mark, even if you don't see its impact immediately, even if no one tells you. Your existence alone is shaping the world in ways you might not realize. The problem? Too many people go through life believing the opposite. They convince themselves they are just shadows, that their efforts go unnoticed, that their words don't reach anyone, that no one sees them. And over time, with no words to remind them of their worth, some begin to fade away. Not because they want to disappear, but because they've come to believe that they are invisible. Now, take a moment and think, when was the last time someone told you, you matter? When was the last time you truly felt like your presence made a real difference? And if it's been too long, why not be the one to say it to someone else? A true Stoic does not wait for others to validate their worth. They understand that everyone has a role, that true strength doesn't come from external recognition, but from internal self-awareness. But at the same time, they don't withhold these words from others, because they know that one sentence spoken at the right moment can rebuild someone who is quietly falling apart. And that's the secret. Sometimes the words we truly need aren't about how to be stronger or how to succeed. They're simply the ones that say, "I see you. You matter."